So I recently wrote a story on Medium about why income has nothing to do with financial freedom and the things that do move the needle when it comes to reaching financial freedom. And I wanted to talk about that today because I think it's important. I think it's something that we don't talk about often. Like, we've put so much focus and emphasis on making more money and improving our income, or at least what I've seen so far recently on the internet. It's more about like how much more money can you make. But I think there are some like really simple alternatives to consider, and today I'm going to be talking about them. So number one, savings rate versus income earned. There's this quote by Robert Kiyosaki that you may have heard of before. The quote goes like this: "It's not how much money you make, but how much money you keep. How hard it works for you and how many generations you keep it for." And I think that's a really good quote. And the biggest part here is how much money you keep. So savings rate. When it comes to financial freedom, the biggest thing that will affect how much you have at the end, how much you're working towards, and how to really build up your pot of money is what your savings rate is. Your whole financial freedom is determined by your savings rate. How much you can save, how fast you can save it, but like how much you can save. So without having to change your income, you can change how fast you reach financial independence. And it's simply by changing how much you save. There's this really good chart, which I'm gonna put up here, Mr. Money Mustache's The Shockingly Simple Math Behind Early Retirement. I'll put it down in the description below as well if you'd like to see it. As you can see, what determines when you can retire is how much of your income you save. So based off of this, if you save 50%, I save about 50% of my income. So it says I can retire in 17 years. I'm not looking to spend that long working to retire. I'm thinking of alternative ways to replace my income so that I can retire without having to save 50% of my income for 17 years. So I'm hoping to change the setup of my financial freedom, I guess. Like, it's not, there's no one way to do it. You don't have to draw down 4% of your portfolio if that's not the way you want to do it. You can do it by creating side hustles. You can do it by creating passive income, which does require you saving money, probably if you're doing it for investments, or by creating other ways of passive income. If you look at that chart, you can find out based on how much you're saving right now, and by saving, usually that means investing in the stock market, how long it will take you to retire. And you can use a compound interest calculator to actually verify that number for yourself. And this would be how long it would take you to retire based on your current income. So it would be retiring at a similar income level as you are now by saving that percentage, if that makes sense, and then drawing down from your portfolio.
I thought it would be interesting if we did a quick calculation and saw what it would be like to actually retire on any income and a lower income than the average UK income. So I wanted to look at £20,000 because I feel like that's a good starting point. So let's have a look. Here I'm just on the calculator site and using this for the compound interest calculator. And if we start with no deposit, and the interest rate, we'll go with 7% as a more conservative interest rate for the stock market. On average, it returns like 9-10, a bit higher depending on what you invest in on average a year. But obviously there is inflation, so we'll account for that, and that's roughly about 2%. So I'm going to go with 7 as a really safe number to kind of use. Years, if you remember, it was 17 years at 50% income level. That would potentially retire you on the same income as you had. And by the same income, what I mean is if you're saving 50%, that means that you're living off 50%. So it's retiring on that amount, because that's what you're currently living on as you're saving, and that's how much you will have in retirement. It should make sense in a minute. And compound interval yearly, and then deposits, it's roughly 833.33. Yeah, we'll do the lower end, 833. And we'll say deposit made in the beginning. Let's just say you get paid on the 1st of every month, and then that's when you invest your money. And let's have a look at what the results are. So as you can see, in 17 years, you would have £319,846.90. That would be in total as your future investment value. So if you invested £833 every month for 17 years, this is how much you would have. The FIRE number on half of 20,000, which is 10,000 a year, which is half of your income and how much you're currently spending on your expenses if you're doing a 50% investment. The FIRE number for that is 250,000 because it's 10,000 times 25, and that's 250,000. But you can see in 17 years you'll actually have more than that. So the actual point at which you reach 250,000 here, as you can see, is between year 14 and year 15. So it would actually take you that long to reach financial independence off of your current spending and expenses if you were saving 50% of your income. I just thought that was really interesting to look at, because that would be you having, because it's 50%, it's easy to calculate. It'll be you having £833 each month, drawing down 4% from your total investment, which is 250,000 if we go with year 14, year 15. Essentially, it would take you less because the Mr. Money Mustache blog post is using a very low rate of return, and so that's why his calculation brings 17. But because I'm using more of an accurate, I'm just going off of like the S&P 500 and like a global index fund as well, that on average would give 7% adjusted for inflation. So I just wanted to show you how doable this is, because I think until you see the math, it's kind of hard to see how that works. Another really interesting thing that I wanted to bring up was this. If you look at the graph, this is the one thing that I think is a bit difficult for financial independence and being able to retire in a very short amount of time. And as I said, I want to retire within the 5-year frame. But if you look at this graph, most of the compounding starts happening after year 10. So after year 10, you'll see, so your interest, which is how much money is just being created from the deposits that you're adding. The free money, the money that you didn't add, is the orange, so total interest. 6,000 only, look, year 1, nothing, barely anything. Year 3, year 4, 14,000 interest is still great, but you have a total of 59,000 in deposits, so it's not really that exponential. But if you see around here, year 10, 11, it starts to ramp. Like after year 10, it ramps and it gets crazier and crazier, and the difference becomes wilder the further along you go. And here you can see it's almost 50%, like split between how much you've deposited and how much you get in total interest and return. So I think that's like really interesting to see where the compounding starts to ramp up. So if you're trying to reach financial independence early, it can be hard to do this with investing just because your money hasn't had enough time to grow, which is why I believe in time in the market, not timing the market. So the more time you have in the market, the more chance you have for your investment to grow. And that is one of the biggest things I think that you should consider when you're thinking about financial freedom and how you're planning to reach it, which is why I said that I am trying to find an alternative way of reaching financial freedom, because I don't want to start drawing down before my portfolio has had a chance to really do its money making. You know, I want to give it its best chance at like really getting a good return. So if I can avoid drawing down, I would rather just create passive income in other ways and use that money to basically pay for my expenses and do F.I.R.E. So maybe I'll stop adding, or if I have leftover money, I'll just add what I can because I've reached like my F.I.R.E. number, and all I have to do is just wait until my investment starts doing the big compounding, and then I can retire on my investments way later on, and in the meantime use what I'm making passively to survive. To survive and live. I just wanted to show you guys what that would look like. And you can do this with your own income personally and how much you're saving, your savings rate. Just put in the years, figure out how much you're spending each month based on how much you're saving and your take-home pay, and then you can calculate for yourself how long it will take you to reach your own number.
Saving is everything. How much you save can drastically change how much you'll have and how long it takes you to reach financial freedom. So consider that before trying to like find ways to increase your income. Maybe find ways to cut back first on what you're currently spending so you can save more. And that's one of the biggest things I did. I realized that I enjoy the work I do. I'm not exactly looking to move into a 9-to-5 right now, and I do enjoy having my freedom. There are things I want to do while I have this freedom. Once the world opens up, I had to think of an alternative way to save more, to stay on track for financial freedom, and decreasing my spending and increasing my savings was one of the biggest things that I did that really helped so much. And it blew my mind because I didn't even know it was a thing until I was doing it. I did this without knowing really what it would do. But then I realized I could save so much more money, and I was just investing all of it. And I guess I was just like going, I don't know, I was going kind of wild. I was just investing everything, all my money. And it's made a huge difference. And my portfolio definitely says that it's made a huge difference. It's crazy. Number 2 is to build strategies you can obsess over. This is something that I think people don't talk about very often, and is having fun. I think when it comes to money, we're also like technical. So focused on the numbers, focused on the goals, focused on hustling as hard as we can. But I beg you, have some fun. Have some fun with it. Like literally, when I say have some fun, I mean with numbers. Have some fun with investing. 2 of the things I talked about in my article was that when I realized I loved making spreadsheets, it changed my life. It really changed my financial life. I am obsessed with spreadsheets. I'm on my spreadsheets every day without fail. It's crazy to think about it and crazy to say out loud. I'm like, oh God, do I have a problem? But I think it's a good problem to have. I love looking at my spreadsheets. I love updating them. I update them probably too often. I track everything from my net worth to what I spend my money on to my goals. I track it all. I literally track everything in a spreadsheet. Also, like I use Notion to track like all my life goals, my financial goals, and I use Google Sheets as well to track mostly my financial goals, my work, everything to do with money. So I've been having fun with that. I found a way to make it really fun, and I think you should find a way to make it really fun too, because it will change the way you look at it. It will change how you wake up in the morning and go to your finances. It will really affect it. Because if you're bored and you hate it and you don't want to do it, you're not gonna want to do it, and you won't do it, and eventually you'll just stop. And if you really want to reach your goals, you kind of have to find a way to make it fun. So have fun, please have fun. Do whatever it takes to have fun, and have some fun goals. Maybe like add in some goals that are not necessarily gonna help you on your journey to financial freedom, like going on a specific holiday or on a specific trip. But it's gonna give you something to work towards and something to really remind you of why you're doing this. Number 3 is cutting your spending. So cutting your spending today will give you extra years in retirement later. This kind of goes hand in hand with the savings rate. Spend less, in turn gives you more to save, and so you will reach financial independence sooner. If you can be frugal, be frugal. If you have to cut back on some of the things you're doing, maybe social outings, I'm kind of hard on myself with spending money, but then I have to remind myself sometimes when it's like, go out to this event or go out to this birthday. Can I do that? Do I have the budget for it? I don't have the budget for it. Okay, well then I have to have the discipline to say no and just apologize and say, sorry, I'd love to be there, but I just can't afford it right now. So be okay with saying no. Be okay with not going out as often as you used to or that you want to, because you have a goal in mind. And I think you shouldn't feel guilty for that. But obviously, look back to number 2, please have fun. Do enjoy your life and do make the budget. You know, you can allocate your budget to things that are fun and that are maybe not gonna help you towards being more financially free, but will help your mental health and help you stay on track because it will bring you joy. So just allocate the budget for it or create a sinking fund. You can have a fun stuff sinking fund. Just put like £20 in there every month, and then when it's just like, there's something I wanna do, it's not in my budget, but I do wanna do this thing that I haven't planned for, you have planned for it because it's in your fun stuff. sinking fund. Then you just take the money out of the fun stuff sinking fund and boom. So consider that as well. That's an alternative. And finally, number 4 is learning to invest your money. There are different ways of investing. Investing doesn't have to be in the stock market. If you want to do it in cryptocurrencies, you could do that. If you want to do it in real estate, so like homes, you want to flip houses, or you want to be a landlord and invest in property, that's something you could do too. There are many things you can invest in. Investing just means putting your money in something and it then makes you money or brings you more money later on, either when you sell it or it gives you residual income. And that's what investing simply is. So find something that you can invest in, that you will enjoy investing in and be able to consistently invest in for the long run, because you need to have some way of making money outside of your job. You need to have some way of income coming in outside of you having to actively work for it. So whether that's investing in yourself and starting a YouTube channel, I guess, buying some film equipment to start a YouTube channel, that's an investment you can make that will pay dividends for years to come. I didn't ever start my first YouTube channel because I wanted to make money. I started it because I was lonely. I was lonely and I was moving to a new country, going to teach English, not knowing anything or anyone, and I just wanted to build a community and speak to other people who were doing what I was doing, and that's exactly what it did. In the end, I ended up helping loads of people who wanted to move abroad and teach English, and I did not ever expect to make money from that at all. I've gone through that channel without making content with the intention of making money on it as well, and even with that view of not trying to, you know, really maximize my income from it, I made a good income and it still brings in money now. I haven't uploaded in a while on that channel and I will be soon, but it still pays me some money every month, and that's residual income that I'm gonna have for years to come. So having something that will give you some kind of passive income or some residual income, something that you can draw income from outside of a day job, if financial freedom is something you want and you do not want to be working forever, then that is something to think about. So if it's invested in the stock market and you don't know how to invest, do some research. There's loads of videos out there. Obviously, do your own research. Don't just take one person's word for it. Make sure you fact check everything. Read books. Books are a great resource. I'll link down below actually some books that I've read on money that have helped a lot. Read books, read articles, whatever you can do to like expand your knowledge, anything that will help with learning to invest and learning to make your money work for you. And finally, how to reach financial freedom. The simple formula for reaching financial freedom is to cut back on your spending, to increase your savings rate, and to invest the difference. That's really it. That's all you have to do. And eventually you will reach financial freedom. It's not gonna be easy, it's gonna be a long journey, and there's gonna be so much to learn along the way, but you will get there. Please give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful, and also subscribe if you're interested in more videos about financial freedom and my journey to financial freedom. But I will see you guys next time in another video. Until then, bye.